John, thanks for being with us today. Certainly appreciate it. First question is, here we are in Round Top, Texas, and I want to ask, what's your relationship with Texas, whether it's like in person or like your cinematic relationship with Texas?
Malik, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Malik film?
Probably. phew,
It's hard, maybe day by day it's different, but
Badlands.
yeah.
Probably. But it's hard. Yeah, it's hard. Uh, uh, that I have a very limited relationship with Texas. I'm from Ohio, so I'm from Rust Belt, Ohio. My family has a connection. There used to be a place called Trinity Meadows, a horse track in Dallas Fort Worth
Mm,
that my grandfather was part owner of.
mm.
It was a thoroughbred track. He was into horse racing. He owned a track up in Ohio, and we for young kids we knew a lot about horse racing. Knew how to read a program. Knew how to make those bets. But that's about it. I don't have family from Texas. I don't have a lot of relationship. I've driven through it a few times. I love driving through West Texas. Going to Marfa, all
Mhm.
that kind of stuff. I think it's one of the most beautiful drives in the country. It's
It's like a
just
prehistoric
Yeah, it's
vibe.
really beautiful out there. I find that, along 10, I find that one of the greatest routes across America. Um, East Texas, I don't know a lot about. I did do a short film called One Armed Man, which was based on a Horton Foote
Mm,
short story. So East Texas there, cotton country, East Texas,
right.
back in the turn of the century, turn of the last century. God, it's weird to say that.
Strange. Yeah. Here we are,
It's been
2020.
25 years. I think I
Right.
should start getting. Yeah. Those are probably. I think I gave you my whole Texas
What draws you to
story.
Malik's work? What do you see in his work that you
I mean,
appreciate?
he shoots really beautifully. It's changed a lot. His early work from what he's doing now, uh, or more of his, in this century work, has gotten a lot more experimental. Obviously, I think he's always had his own perspective, which is something I admire among filmmakers, especially independent filmmakers. He's willing to take risks. He's willing to, show outer space for 20 minutes doing
Yes,
nothing.
yes, yes.
And sometimes you might feel that's indulgent, but I also think it's brave, and I kind of think it's kind of punk rock to do
Yes.
that in
Song to
film.
song, not a cups. I
Yeah,
love
like
the tone of those
I
films.
don't
Yeah.
know, like he's not trying to make it for a commercial audience. So I think if you're going as an artistic endeavor, it's okay to take those bold risks. And I appreciate that about him. So yeah.
Yeah. So, can you tell me, how do you start? What's your when you start acting? What is going on with you there that you start saying, "Hey, I want to act
Severe
and
mental
perform"?
illness. I don't know. What do you mean? Well,
Were you involved in theater, or you involved in short films as a teenager,
where I
early
grew up,
20s?
there was no film.
Which is Ohio.
Ohio. So
Mhm.
that's around Cleveland, Akron area, along that I-77 corridor. Um, so there's no film at all. Uh, there's theater in the sense of community theater. There was the Cleveland Playhouse, which was the oldest regional theater, the first regional theater to come into existence. One of the first. I might be misspeaking here, but I think it was the first. And that existed when I was a kid. And so I did, community theater and things like that as a hobby. Then it would, and I would do school plays and stuff like that. I had no idea what filmmaking was or how to be a film actor, and I never expected to become a film actor. At the end of high school, I made a decision to go to theater school because I had been doing some plays, yeah, at places like the Cleveland Playhouse, where I was running into actors coming from New York and Chicago and stuff, and seeing that there was a way to be a regional theater actor. And at that point, I liked it for the sense, just in the performative sense. It was a chance to let off steam, to be seen. I wasn't great at sports. I wasn't the most popular kid, so sort of got eyes on me in a positive way and kept me out of trouble. So I liked it in that sense. And so I decided that I wanted to try and go to theater school against, my father's wishes. He would prefer me to go to like poli-sci, law, everything like that. But I did it, and it was there in theater school where I really gained an appreciation for the art form of theater, and also started to really appreciate cinema and not just movies, because before that my experience with film was primarily movies in quotation marks. You're talking about your big Jurassic Parks,
Right,
Independence
which are
Day,
great in their own way. Right,
Back to
right.
the Future, those kinds of things, which I loved. It was in middle school where I started. I think the first thing that is obviously a mix of commercial filmmaking and artistic cinema was a friend introduced me to Kubrick,
Mm.
which I really was like, this is really cool. We would like sort of sneak away and watch Clockwork Orange, which for like a
And what can,
13-year-old
but can I
kid
ask, like,
was pretty like, whoa, that's fucking crazy.
what are you watching it on? I'm really curious in
Oh,
that. Are you? Yeah,
VHS.
it's a VHS. Is it VHS?
VHS,
Yeah, yeah.
renting it from Blockbuster
Right.
and watching it on VHS at that time, just pre-DVD.
Hmm.
My dad had Betamax. I mean, I will say, and I'm sort of going off on a
No, you're
tangent,
good. Yeah.
but I will say my dad did like watching movies, and he would copy movies. Like he'd rent it, and then he would have
Like bootleg it. Yeah.
tape
Which
recorders
is an
and things.
amazing tradition.
And he did
Yeah.
that, and he
So.
also had Betamax and things like that. So he sort of was he would like get he got the VCR when it was first out. He got, even when DVDs were first out, he got a DVD player. So he did seem to want to watch films, and I was watching things over his shoulder that I probably shouldn't have been watching at an early age. And maybe subconsciously that helped inform things, but those weren't the films that I was seeking out. I was seeking out the very clear popcorn fare. But in college, I felt behind when I got to theater school. I felt like there were a lot of kids who knew a lot more than I knew. So I started reading. I started watching. I worked my way through the AFI Top 100 list because that had
Mm.
just come out, I think, a year before I went to
How did
college.
you interface with that list at that time? Through a magazine?
Internet? No, it was internet
I
by
see. I
that. So
see.
we're talking about 2001.
I see. I see.
So in my dorm room, I had internet. We had
Hmm.
that. I mean, it's still, like dial up AOL.
Yeah, I see. Yeah,
That
for
whole
sure.
thing. But you could look at it. And I may be on print. I can't remember. I might have had a print list too.
Right, right.
I worked
I'm
through
just
that.
fascinated by the way things travel,
Well,
right? To people,
changed
right?
so much. Even
It's
in my
changing every
career,
three,
it's
5 years,
changed. So
right?
like, and then I was reading. I'm reading all these great plays. I start reading Ibsen and Chekhov and Strindberg. All these, all those depressive Scandinavian Russian playwrights who really shaped the end of the 1800s, and really start this cerebral kind of idea of storytelling where it's subtextual and psychological, that goes on to influence so many of these filmmakers, especially new cinema, new Hollywood in the 70s, where it's a
Mhm.
lot more, and so many of the, Birdman and blah, blah, the list goes on. And then I found that that's what I really became sort of passionate about, as in theater as well as in film. And that is, so it was in those 4 years at college where the craft of acting, I won't say I learned a ton about in college. In fact,
Right,
you have
right.
to forget a lot of that when you get into the practical application of it. But I did gain a love for the art form, and that sort of sent me on my trajectory and wanting to really be a serious actor, even though there's no such thing as a serious. It's a very unserious profession. It's a
Understood.
really absurd profession, and the term serious actor is kind of an oxymoron.
Understood. And here we are in Round Top, Texas, between Houston and Austin, and you're here with Omaha.
Correct.
Can you tell me a bit about the first time Omaha came into your orbit and what made you really feel like this is a journey I really want to go on?
Yeah. So I was away shooting a film called September 5, which got some nice love last year. Golden Globe nominee for Best Film, Best Screenplay at the Oscars, nominations. So I was away shooting that in Germany at the time. I was in Munich.
Hmm.
And I have a daughter, and my daughter around then was about 3 years old. And I remember I'd been away, so I wanted to just get home. I wanted to finish September 5 and get home and just be home for a while with my family. And then I get sent this script, Omaha. And, first on the initial page you get sent from your agents or whatever, it's like, there's not a lot of money. It's an indie. You're going to get paid this much, which wasn't a lot. Take a look. And I will read everything that's sent to me. Even if I don't make it all the way through, I'll try. I'll read it and give it a shot, because you never know what you're going to find. So I got this script and I was about to read it, and then I get 3 emails or calls from 3 people I really respect. One was this guy, Sam Hodges, who I produced a short film of his that went to Sundance. And he's said, give Cole a shot. I've worked with him before. He's a cool dude. Cole's the director of the film. The second one was from this guy, Shane Atkinson, who I did a film of his that I also produced called Leroy, who went to college at Brigham Young with Cole. So I gave it a shot. And then the most important one was Chris Blauvelt, who is
he's a DP of
Kelly Reichardt's
films,
DP,
right?
now Todd Haynes as well, who's one of the best DPs out there. Apprenticed the great Harris Savides, who was master of the one-er,
right?
Master
Rest
of it.
in peace.
With Gus Van
Absolutely.
Zandt. I mean, the
Right.
shot in Elephant is just breathtaking sequence of like how a one-er can be done. Before all these tricks, before the tricks of like making everything a one-er, where you're just
Right.
you're lying and they're not one-ers.
Right.
Anyway, so Chris calls me and he goes, I've worked with Cole on commercials, because up until that point, Cole had pretty much only done commercials. And he said, he's a great dude. Give him a shot. Then I see Robert Machion is the writer who had directed Killing of Two Lovers, great film that played at Sundance. And he's a great writer. Then I read the script, and it just sung from page 1. Just kept me
And
turning.
it's sung in terms of
just
you're imagining the film itself, or you're imagining yourself inside of it?
All of
or,
it. All of it.
I see.
Not necessarily imagining myself inside of it. On the initial read, I try and stay distant from it. I try
see.
and look at it not. I think if you look at it as yourself, then you're kind of looking at it selfishly, and you're not going to
I guess
miss
a little too.
the whole perspective of the film. I don't place myself in it until I agree to do it, and I start to work on it. So I'm reading it. It just kept me turning the pages. It was a brief read. It was probably only about 90 pages, maybe even less. And it was great. And it left me devastated by the end. And it also, I think, it spoke to me because I was I am a father, and it's about a father who has to let go of his kids. So that clearly really spoke to me. It was about something I didn't realize actually had happened in Nebraska. This loophole in the law at the time where people could give away their kids who weren't babies. And that was it. And, I called my wife and I said, hey, I got this thing. Chris said, do it. It's really good. She said, okay. So I went off and did it. And it was, it was a hard shoot. It was scrappy, really independent filmmaking, great producers who really worked hard, a great collaborative team. And Cole is just a great collaborator and friend now, and it made something really special. Went to Sundance. It's won a lot of notices and awards so far on its festival run, and most people who see it really, I mean, you got to kind of be a corpse not to respond. It's really, if anything, it's devastating. And also I think it's just a well done film, well made.
I feel like your body of work is so much. You've done so much independent work, and the independent film landscape right now is in an interesting time. With Sundance moving out of Park City, like the land, like there's so much kind of shifting. I guess that we're.
I mean, I won't. The Sundance moving out of Park City, that's a location change. I think there's like you said, there's so much more. It's an interesting space for independent cinema.
And I'm not making comment as Sundance as an institution, but I'm making comment about accessibility.
It's just a symbolic.
It has to shift.
Symbolic shift. Yeah.
Right. So how do you think about that shift that's happening in this world of streaming? And it's like, it just feels like for me, this sort of trajectory for an independent filmmaker in like 2010 to 2016 is not the same trajectory in 2025,
It's
right? Or no? Or,
no, it's not. I mean, I've been doing this now professionally for 20 years, and when I started it, we were still rolling film. We were still
hmm
checking gates, and it was that. That's gone now, even in independent. The last film I made was, I think Celine used film on past lives, which
Mm,
cost a lot of money to shoot it on film.
gorgeous film.
And
Yeah.
that's the last one. Even, I just did The Bride studio film, Warner Brothers. That's on digital. And not to say digital has gotten a lot better over the years, but it is, again, a symbolic change. Uh, I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I
I
don't. No one
wouldn't
knows. I
listen.
think
I'm
that
a
no
bit
one
of a
knows.
pessimist. I'd say to kids who are coming out of film school, good luck. It's hard. It's hard
hmm
to get a film done. You can make a film. In a lot of ways, you can make films more easily now, but it's also a lot harder to get them seen because there's a lot more competition too.
Right. Something I think about all the time is like, what would Jean-Luc Godard do today?
I don't know.
I don't know
Maybe you
either.
wouldn't be a filmmaker.
Yeah,
Maybe you
right.
wouldn't.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
I equate this like to my kids. I'd be like, this is like being, this is such a stupid, glib comparison. But I hope you'll understand kind of what I'm saying is, in the 1950s, if I was a coal miner and my kid wanted to be a coal miner, I'd sort of be like, maybe think about doing something else. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's kind of what I will say to my kid. Like, maybe think, like, you better really want to go down to that mine and be a coal miner in 1970. Just like I think if you're going to go into this field, you better really want to go into the kind of shit. It's hard. It was hard before, and it's only getting harder. And you better really want to do it. If my daughter, she's now almost 6,
Mm.
let's say in 15 years she says, I want to do film, I'm going to be like, you better be 1,000% sure you want it, because it's only going to get harder. It's all the media companies are only getting tighter and tighter and eaten up as Warner Brothers now is ready to sell and getting eaten up by another mega corporation. Independent film, A24 is now rising to a different level. You have Mubi and Neon sort of stepping in. It's a changing landscape. Into the 2010s, there was a real thriving indie scene with, well, I was actually before that. It was before the 2008 collapse. The finance. You
Right.
had all this equity money going into film and independent film, and it was and you had like things like Paramount Vantage and Focus really popping as an independent name, and that you had like things like No Country for Old Men coming out,
Right.
and a lot of great sort of indie on the cusp of studio feature film. That's changed a lot now, and it's getting even smaller. And when I see things like, the Gotham Awards in New York, which used to
hmm
really celebrate independent film, now getting rid of those those rules and honoring big studio films, it makes me scared that the platforms for true independent film is getting smaller and smaller, because for studio films the window is getting smaller and smaller. I mean, you look at the box office numbers over the last month, it's just been horrible for studios. So, it's an art. It will continue to exist. Theater continues to exist, and those who love it will love it. And there will be popular television and film that will still exist. But for an independent filmmaker, like it always has been, it's got to be about passion. And
hmm
that's what young people have to have,
hmm
a fighting attitude.
I think the first time I encountered you on the screen as a viewer is First Cow,
Mm.
Kelly Reichardt, and I'm curious about, yeah, fiercely independent filmmaker. I love considering her early work and where she was to realize that stuff, and I'm
Mm.
curious on your reflections on her as a director and her tone of voice. I know you're in the mastermind, and I guess my question is like, what is your reflections on your experience working with with Kelly Reichardt?
I mean, she's brilliant. She's a friend. She's brilliant, and she's the real deal as an independent filmmaker. But you got to think, how long has it taken her to get this nook that she's in?
Right.
You know,
Right.
she's been doing
Tooth and nail.
tooth and nail for 50, not for 50, sorry, Kelly, that's not what I meant, but over 30 years, 30,
Right.
close to 40 years.
River of Grass, right? It's the first film.
Well, I'm even going back beyond that. I'm going back
see.
when she got out of film,
Yes.
art school. I'm sorry, art school.
Right.
And when she started to make film, like little films, she worked on a TV show as like, I don't know, some sort of
She's an
behind the
outlier.
scenes.
Yeah.
But she's an outlier, and she's worked really hard. And with that, and she has she has her following. She has notoriety. She's very respected among her colleagues and peers and people who are other filmmakers, especially other auteurs. But she still teaches. She still has a day job, a teaching gig, and she's still living in a modest apartment in Portland. So it's still it's passion, and I think that she's the definition of an independent filmmaker who does it because she has to do it, and she's passionate about it because it's not about anything else, and she's making films, she's making art that she believes in, that she thinks has something to say. It's not necessarily for the masses. Which I'm not saying is the right way to do it.
Yeah, I hear you.
I think for the masses is cool too. Like if you want to become a popular filmmaker, good on you. Do that. I don't think that's any easier. In fact, it's probably harder to find your niche in that world. But Kelly is one of a kind, and she's absolutely brilliant, and she continues to hone and refine her craft and her voice. And I will always be there when she calls.
What is the the sort of film you maybe first saw that you just kind of blew your mind in terms of like, holy cow, this is like a world, the whole world is infinite, and this film is letting me know?
Well, that's a very specific question. The first film I saw that was like that was probably 2001, Space. Yeah, and still one of my favorites of all time. It was just, when you say the word infinite, there's something about the sci-fi genre, space, that kind of, which is infinite in theory. So just easily that is a film that led to that. But the films that change and inspire are constant. I'm constantly seeing them. I think you want that, to find films. That's not often, every few years you might see something, but it inspires you and see something new and special and unique. And I always look forward to finding more of those. Yeah.
And so what would be your advice or your word, as short as long as you want it to be, for folks who want to be actors, performers, or filmmakers in 2025?
Like I was saying before,
Right.
You better really, really want to. And they said that when I was going to school, but like even more so now. You better really. There better be nothing else that you can do. Nothing else. Like you will die on that hill if you have to, because it's brutal. It's brutal out there, and you better be in it, like I said, 1,000%, every ounce of your blood and being, especially when you're starting out. Once you start, I've been very fortunate and having some degree of success and being able to work and being able to provide for my family is a tremendous luxury, which lets me breathe a little easier and be able to focus on other things. You see a lot of actors who are able to start to, like famous actors who are able to focus on other things, like Nick Cage is doing artwork and Daniel Day-Lewis is going off cobbling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That is a luxury afforded to people who are at a very high level. When you're out there, those first years, when you're pounding pavement and you're knocking down doors and you're working as a waiter to support yourself, to pay rent, to put food in your mouth, you can't go off and do that stuff. Your escape is watching film. That's what it was for me, going to the theater, seeing movies. going to see friends in plays for free because you can't afford to get a ticket for Broadway.
Mm-hmm.
Those are your escapes. And then maybe, going to the beach for a day. I live in New York. You could go to Rockaways on the subway. But,
Mm-hmm.
like, you don't have that luxury. So you have to be 1,000% committed and spend every day. When I first got into New York, every morning waking up at 6 a.m., going to the Equity Building, going into an open call audition, sending out headshots and resumes, doing readings of plays or workshops of anything that I could get my hands on, just finding any way to be a part of it and work on your craft. And that, again, it's only getting harder. But I say that as what I know an actor to be.
Yeah.
We're living now in a world where I'm an old man and don't even realize, like, now there's influencers and content creators and stuff. And I don't know, maybe that's an in too.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a world I can't really comment on because I'm out of touch from that. So I
Understood.
don't know. I'm only speaking from my experience.
Understood.
Yeah.
Last question is, do you have a favorite movie theater you've ever been to or that you frequent often?
I mean, I live in Brooklyn, so I go to the Nighthawk, which is like
Mm-hmm.
a lovely little independent film cinema but they play all sorts of stuff there. But they have like one of those. They have their waiters, and I'm not one for eating in film.
I don't like smelling the food when
I
I'm
don't really
watching
like. I'm sort of like anti popcorn in film. Like it's like how did popcorn become the loudest food in the
Yeah.
world? Like it should be just like yogurt or something soft that doesn't make noise. But it's cool. I mean, it's a nice one. The best film. I don't know, man. There's
No worries.
there's a lot. I mean, that's my local, and it's
Mm-hmm.
cool. I mean, but I still have a nostalgic place in my heart for like the places when I was a kid. We had this place called General Cinemas where I grew up, and it was before these, the IMAX or anything. And like going back to it, the screens probably weren't much bigger than, that wall right there, and it was, and it stunk and it wasn't clean. But there's a place in my heart for those theaters because those are, those were where it started, and that's where we go with friends and hang out and you know sneak into R-rated movies that we shouldn't sneak. It would be buy a ticket to PG-13 and then sneak into the R-rated. Yeah, those theaters are cool.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. I really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
definitely enjoy.